Okay, fellas.
Hang on.
So now we're going to talk about comfort, and this is very important. I'm gonna try to keep this video shorter, and the next two shorter. I can go in depth on a lot of the random stuff on individual videos that you can find on the YouTube and on the Patreon on the website. So when we talk about comfort, right, based on the mystery method, the C1 is you want to focus on just a sense of rapport with each other, meaning just comfort with one another. You know what I mean? I think during comfort, I want to abandon a lot of these rules and techniques because comfort is a natural thing, and comfort is about vibing. So to me, C1 is all about just chilling and like talking about things that you're very comfortable about with one another. Okay. So according to the method, though, building rapport is about, they use little techniques to trigger conversations where you can know more about her. But I'm going to tell you guys, for C1, you just want to have comfortable conversation with her. Use your storytelling to bring either stories that are funny or stories that build your value. You know what I mean? So things that you've done. And then the biggest part of C1 is listening. So, and questions. So what I would say is you really want to ask good questions. And all you want to find out with your questions is, what kind of girl is this? Because the more you find out what kind of girl this is, the more you'll know what she can do or where she fits in your life. She might be a freak, so then you put her in the freak section. She might be, artistic, so then you say, okay, she's interested in art. Everything you pick up in C1 is what you're going to use during the seduction stage and in the future to really strengthen your bond. Because the more things you know about her that she likes, the more things that you can give her that she'll like, because you know what she likes. So comfort, this whole stage is about gathering information. So C1 to me is just when you guys are now in like a real conversation and vibing out from that age. So A3, where I left off with the attraction, is okay, you guys are vibing and talking about something that you were like, I like that about you. Now C1 is, what else about you do I like, right? Boom. So then C2, is a big part of C2 to me. Here's how they describe it, is about building an emotional and physical connection. So in this step, you must create an emotional connection with the target at first. Here are some routines to create an emotional connection. They have different routines you can do. I don't care for those. And then you can escalate to physical connection. Here are some, So all you want to do during C2 is, now number one, a big part of C2 that's important is you have to move locations. And this is where I think comfort is so important. A lot of the time, guys are sitting there talking to a girl, but they're in one spot forever. Now, if you want to create comfort, a very powerful strategy or technique you can do is you'll be like, yeah, man, you want to go upstairs and see what they got going upstairs on the roof. If she walks with you up to the roof, now you all are in a new location. And now you're talking about different things, but comfort is there now, because now physiologically she's been with you in different spaces now. The people that we call our friends and that we're the most comfortable with are people we've been in the most different situations with. So it creates a scenario where there's comfort versus somebody else you've only been in one space with them. So that, or it might be even as good, and then you might go there and say, oh, yeah, are you hungry? Maybe we can grab some pizza after this spot. She's like, all right, cool, perfect. Now you're creating that C2. You now have moved to a new space, and you all are having conversations still, right? But the important part is you want to move to a different space with her, because that also explains that she's willing to follow you a little bit. She's willing to work with you and let you guide her to a new space. And that shows that that's a level of compliance, which represents attraction, okay? It represents, you're moving her now. It means you're creating an effect on her in the physical world because you're moving her position, right? Or on a more casual level, you might have just seen her yesterday. You guys hung out and ate lunch, but then you might have seen her, for guys that are in college, for example, you might see her in the cafeteria, or you might see her in the library now and open up a convo, and you guys might chill and do your work together in the library. That's C2. Y'all now have hung out a second time, right? In a different space. So now, let me just keep it simple and get to C3. C3 now is where y'all move to a location that is, and let me just preface some things for C2. Like for C2 is where you want to begin to do little things like you want to use a little kino, which represents touching. You might want to be like, you so crazy, like, move her arm a little bit, or be like, wow, you kind of got, you want there to be some form of touch. Like, wow, you kind of look like you work out, like you got athletic legs. Like, can you see your calves? You might touch your calves. Or she might be like, oh, I'm so tired. Like, you might be like, you need a little massage. Look at your back right here. You might touch your back a little bit. Like, your back looks stiff, man. Look at that. So it's very indirect ways of you touching her. That's subtle. And a great way that I had it explained, and this is why this part, man, at this point I'm going to make it exclusive, because this is a big thing that I've gained through different teachers and people I've worked with. And a big thing is you got to look at it like this when it comes to touching with a woman. We know that if a woman is if you're with friends just hanging out, right? And I actually got this from Arash, a very good teacher who teaches principles from the mystery method, and a guy that I've learned great information from. He mentioned something with Kino years back when I was learning from him, and it was saying how with guys that you're friends with, you might touch them and be like, hey, bro, if you're comfortable with your friend, you'll like push him, or a girl that you might be comfortable with, you know what I mean? It's not uncomfortable to touch if you're playing around and stuff like that. You might even dance with him or something. So if you never touch this girl, that's actually going to be kind of weird, and it's going to make you not seem comfortable, right? So, and we also know that people who you aren't comfortable with, there's no touching going on, right? And it's weird. So you want to actually use touch to create comfort, because until you break that touching barrier, there's going to be this weird veil that's going to exist between you two, and it's going to create a veil that's uncomfortable, and that's how you end up having like the real friend zone guy. And that's why when a guy's too much in the friend zone, when he touches the girl, it's like creepy, because he didn't preface that early on enough for that to be normal. So you want to initiate this early while you guys are comfortable in isolation together, subtly, so that veil isn't there, and you all can have a more organic, natural relationship with each other while you're hanging out. And sometimes I've had girls touch me, like they might touch my thigh, like, oh my gosh, it's so silly, and I'm like, all right, well, boom, so it could play out either way, right? So these are the things you want to kind of pay attention to with C2. You want to be able to have you two hanging out now together in a new space, and you want to have it where you can be like, it could be subtle, like let me open the door for you, you might guide her back up to the front, just subtle, so that you don't get stamped in the friend zone. So that's the big thing here when we talk about comfort is very important, because it's the thing that can make you get exactly what you want, or it can be the thing where you end up never getting what you want because you did it wrong. So C2 is big because you want to switch locations, so you're not in one spot where they're talking her head off all day in one place, and you want to be comfortable with that touch a little bit, or break that barrier. And then finally, C3 is y'all two being in a location that's either where you two are alone and where you all can have intimacy potentially. So y'all might be at the crib. For some guys, that's a third date. For some guys, it's the third hangout. Or you might have seen her again after, like let's say you're in college and the first time y'all hung out and got lunch. The second time y'all hung out in the library. The third time you see her, like, yo, we might as well, if you're down, we can go hang out in my room and, work on, I got some drink I just bought. It's Friday, like, let's kick it and see what's good. Now, a big part with C3 is you want to preface something else so that way it doesn't seem like you're just going to fuck her, right? You could be direct, which is fine. Or you could be like, yeah, I was going to just relax, and then I was going to hang out with some friends later. If you're down, maybe we can hang out at the spot, grab a drink, and then, from there, when we can leave out and I can go meet my friends, you can just head back if you're down. She's like, all right, we can do that. The whole idea is just moving to a space where you two are in isolation together. And once you get in isolation together, which would be, me personally, I think y'all hang out at y'all spot or her spot. You know what I mean? Or if you don't have your own spots, you might have to get a hotel or something. Ideally, you don't want to spend money, so I say you guys just chill at one of y'all two spots. Or or in the car, I don't know. But you want to have some form of isolation. So once the isolation is created, you're now stepping into the seduction stage. Now, let me preface this. I feel as though seduction is something of a long-term thing where you want to keep having the person come back. But before you get there, you have to get the person to go all the way once. So we're going to talk about that next in the seduction stage, once you two are in isolation. So these are the principles of the mystery method. I didn't explain a lot of the techniques here. I feel as though the techniques clouds the method and makes it too difficult and and it makes it ineffective because of that. It's like a computer with too much data, and it starts to slow down. Let's keep it smooth and simple. Comfort is simply y'all are hanging out and talking in one place. Y'all move to the second place and talk. You might do a little push-pull. There's some flirting. There's some touching. C3 is you guys are in an intimate location now. And ideally, during the mystery method, they believe that the kissing should take place in the comfort stage, right? So once you two are in isolation, I say as though that you don't have to force the kissing during comfort. I believe that during comfort, you can kiss if the vibe is there. You can touch. You can go all the way if you want to if the vibe is there. But if you still feel like it's not time, don't force it. What I tend to do during C3 is now we're in an isolated location, and then this is where the seduction takes place, where I might kiss or something like that. All right? So be very subtle. Don't rush comfort. This is the last thing I'm going to say. Comfort doesn't have to necessarily be in 3 meetups. It can be as soon as an hour. It can be as long as a month. I know some guys might hate to hear that, or even longer. But if you're doing this with many different women, you don't care how long it's taking. Comfort can take place during the texting. But your goal is to really focus on meetups more so than texting, unless you all are already hitting it off. So finally, I just want to say take your time with the comfort. Every girl builds comfort at different paces. But the better your communication is, the more comfortable you are, the more she'll become very comfortable as well. And the more you'll be able to do it faster is what I'm basically saying. The more you practice it, the faster you'll be able to make her comfortable. All right? That is part 2, gentlemen, of comfort. And we're going to close this out with the seduction stage, fellas.